What up, though? It's DJ Smithsonian, and now tuning into another episode of the library. Got my partner Bosko here. If you are not familiar with our show, the library is a place where we talk about hip hop's relationship with language, how hip hop modifies language and even creates its own language. And Bosko is my childhood friend, and me and my guy, we've been sitting here just talking about hip hop, talking about our favorite MCs, making up top fives that you won't hear anywhere else. And that's what we do. So today we talking about sidekicks.
What up, though? This is the place where we talk about hip hop's relationship with language, top five vocal samples, how hip hop manipulates language, iconic bars from some of my favorite MCs that don't quite make sense right now, and even how hip hop creates its own language. I'm gonna give you a deconstructed hip hop lyric, and it's up to you to guess what the original bars are. It's DJ Smithsonian, and you're tuning in to the library.
Like this is some new territory. I don't think I've heard anybody on any platform talk about this shit, man. So, and this was Bosko's idea. So, my brother, I want you to break it down. Like, what are we talking about when we talking about sidekicks, and why are we doing the top five?
So, I was, how I want to say this. I was just thinking about it after our last podcast, like what we would come up with next, and I'm kind of like, you know what? I think it was Pastor Cavassier. I was watching that video for some odd reason, and Busta had his boy in there, and he always is in there, and there's always been like this rumor that like he's a really good MC, but he really doesn't.
Oh, Split Star?
Yeah, Split Star doesn't really do anything.
No.
Not really. Like, he just in the background, but it's like, he's supposed to be legit. And then I thought about it, I'm like, well, who were some people who kind of are always legit when they get on the verse, or pretty much outdid their, you could say master, pretty much. Like, who end up becoming the Nightwing to the Batman? Like, who, I mean, obviously, Nightwing ain't better than Batman, but who became their own and kind of just excelled once they got the ball? Like, did they run with it? Did they fumble it? Like, what happened? So that's kind of where I came up with the idea for the top five for the sidekicks.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this, man. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is like of who's in the space now, or who's ever been in the space, like who has their origin story as like a sidekick. So like I was thinking about some folks, and it's like, you know, some of these cats, I was like, we might not know, or at least the current generation might not know that they started off on some sidekick shit. Like, and a lot of our favorite MCs, a lot of the top MCs, you know, came behind somebody else.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times we don't talk about that. Like, I'm gonna give a good example, because it wasn't necessarily a sidekick type of thing, but it was like he came behind it. So like, and I hope this nigga ain't on your list. But Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G. So
okay.
Notorious B.I.G., like, he was always an MC in his own right. Like, he was never anybody's sidekick, but he was packaged as a B-side, like, to Craig Mack. So we remember like the Big Mac single, like, because Craig Mack was the star big boy artist. So like, we're gonna put Biggie with Craig Mack, and then, you know, we know what happened with Biggie and Craig Mack kind of, you know, fizzled out. Yeah. Much props to the OG though. So I was thinking about that, like who started off as a sidekick, because I mean, we got some people, and also shout out to the Batmans out here on my wall, and a very cool thing. So I know my homeboy Donnie Black, who did the Hip Hop Comic Con episode with me, he's gonna appreciate this fast fun fact. So the Batmans was supposed to have a sequel, like the original, like OG Tim Burton Batmans, right? It was supposed to have a direct sequel, and Robin was supposed to be Marlon Wayans.
Really?
Yes. Robin was supposed to be played by fucking Marlon Wayans, and I think they made a comic based on this shit now. I think it's like Batman 89 or something like that, where Prince, they drew Prince in. So for those that don't know, this is Bat Dance. No, Party. This is Party Man. This is Party Man. So this is the record, if you remember the OG Batmans with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. The song that was being played during the parade that the Joker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's this record right here. So Prince, obviously, he was a big part of the first Batman soundtrack, and they drew him in posthumously as one of the members of Joker's gang. And they do have, like, you know, young black dude Robin that kind of looks like Marlon Wayans. I still got to pick up this graphic novel. I think the shit would have been wild though. Like, you know, after this nigga was coming off of In Living Color, you know, we had the In Living Color movies. Mm-hmm. Shout out to In Living Color because you know, I know SNL's been around for a minute, but like In Living Color was really like I appreciate In Living Color making movies based on their characters.
Yeah. Better
than SNL. Like SNL's got like a few. But I mean, when we think about like the early 90s, like Mo Money, man, that's still my shit. Shout out to the Wayans. Shout out to Stacey Dash before she got crazy. So, but yeah, man, these sidekicks are like, I was thinking about that shit, and I was like, and I was also thinking about like what makes a good sidekick. Like, what are some of the sidekick roles that we normally see in hip hop? One of the first ones that I came up with that I thought about was like the hype man. So like you said, you know, Spliff Star was always in the videos. One of the folks on my list was like always in the back, because you notice if you ever been to a rap show, you know, rappers got like 500 niggas on stage. Right. And it's got like 2-3 people with the microphone, and they do all the ad libs and that kind of stuff. So I always thought about, it was like, you know, so sidekick, that's probably one of the sidekick roles. What's another one that you could think about? What makes a good sidekick? Like
a good sidekick. So I'm kind of thinking back to, I watched the Drink Champs with Bleek on it, and he might pop up in this list for sure. But he was talking about how like he was always just loyalty, no matter what. Like Jay's my Batman, so like I'm riding with him no matter what. Yeah. Always coming on the track, just trying to destroy it, but you already know what's gonna happen. So for a good sidekick, it's always, I guess you could say, like repping your set, making sure like, oh, this is the group, this is it. We ain't going from this. This is it. Like I'm gonna ride or die. I think Bleek mentioned that he went at Nas first, and I think that kind of sparked the whole the issue between him and Jay. Well, Nas and Jay.
I gotta run this episode. I gotta check this out, because
I think that's what he was referring to, because Nas said something, and then Bleek was like, somebody came to him and was like, oh yeah, Nas on the record talking blah 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 about hats, and you the only nigga that was wearing hats, so he talking about you. And it was like, oh, word? And next thing you know, he said something about blah blah blah. It was written, so like you can't take it back. So it's a rap. So yeah. So
that nigga, he was the only nigga in the Rock with the hats though too. Damn.
True.
Like, that's
he was the only one. And like he said, they could be talking about anybody with hats. Like it was just, you know, I jumped the gun. I went in Damian Wayne style, like, oh, word, oh, we in there, and it's kind of like, wait, what you doing? But you know, he loyal.
Yeah, I gotta run that episode of Drink. I got a long drive coming up next weekend, so I might add that to the list. Also, I'm gonna add. So before we keep going, always got to shout out our sponsors, the Appraise the Phrase show. That they always talk about, you know, commonly used phrases. They break down the etymology, the history, and then they weigh it on whether or not it's an actual valid, still valid to this day phrase to be used. So shout out to Appraise the Phrase. And also shout out to our other sponsor, Rap Geo, the Hip Hop Map Project, which uses hip hop as a way to like show like spatially like where these places all these folks are rapping about. You know, how do you make a map and all of that good stuff? And I hear they may have an atlas sometime in the next year or so. But shout out to Rap Geo. Yeah, I gotta run that Memphis Bleek episode now because
it was good. It was good. Like, I'm not a big like Drink Champs fan. Like, I'll watch them like here and there depending on who's on there. But this one was good. So I'm like, oh, it's Bleek. Like, I haven't really seen or heard anything from Bleek. So I'm like, all right, let's check out see what he's talking about. And he's still the same. I like Drink Champs. I kind of had to step back away from Drink Champs for a minute for two reasons. One, like the Kanye episodes were just too much for me. Like that was, like they had that man on like 15 times, and it was just too much for me. And then the second time, the second thing is like I need Nori to not be so surprised at everything.
Like how do you not know? You've been rapping professionally since like 93, 94. How did you've been in this game forever? You've been one of the OGs. How did you not know all of this stuff was going on? And you New York, like how did you not know? You knew,
right?
So I kind of had to breathe a little bit from Drink Champs because some of that stuff was like, oh, what do you mean? Like nah, man. Like you were there. Like you were at the source of it, my dude. You were there. So, you know, I'm thinking about other sidekick type of deal, but I think look, you put it best when you said like they got a ride no matter what. Because I think now, I don't know, I don't think we have any sidekicks now in the new age of hip hop, because outside of ASAP Mob, I haven't really seen, and I think ASAP Mob, Odd Future, they were like the last two crews that I could see.
Maybe TDE, but
maybe
but those guys I don't really consider like sidekick roles. Like they all kind of came on that Justice League Avenger type shit, where like, oh no, like I'm not a sidekick to Kendrick. Go watch this. And it's like, oh,
yeah. I always see them as like they're a label. You know what I'm saying? Griselda maybe as a crew, but I mean, even Griselda is more of like a label. Like they all do good stuff together in their family. But you know, I think you can go on like hip hop Twitter and figure out like everybody's got different arguments for which of the three is the strongest.
Right.
And so there's not one outstanding lyricist and then everybody behind him like we would normally see in the crew. And a lot of these, you know, I mean, they had what was that? All these different acronyms. So what is it? YBN was one of them, and they kind of went defunct. That was the one that Corday was a part of. Didn't like the manager or something, like run off on the name or something like that.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Like everybody's got acronyms in their names, but half the time it ain't got nothing to do with a crew. So I don't.
Right. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So it don't matter. But I'm gonna give the mic to you, man. Because I think I kicked it off the last time.
Yeah.
With the top 5. So you get 3, I get 2.
Okay. Yep.
If y'all haven't heard the rules, these are the rules for the top 5. So we have to go back and forth, alternating with people on the top 5, and the next person adds and improvises. So whenever you get a turn to add a name, you can also sort the order, and then the person that got 2 choices, they get to determine the final order, and then that's the top 5. So we got top 5 sidekicks. I don't know about you. I got a spicy take. I got a spicy take.
Well, I feel like my first one's kind of a spicy take. Like I said, this is me. This is me.
We writing this down. Who you got?
All right, so I'm going back to probably 6th, 7th grade. So we're talking like the Master P era, more or less, going into like the 2000s.
Yeah.
So this guy was literally just a part of the crew. That was it. He had some stuff, but it was one guy, obviously, kind of like in the Jay-Z role, came out, was the megastar. But everybody else was kind of also really good. But when it came to him, it was kind of like, he all right, he cool. He was on the hook. But every time he put out a new album, it just got better, and it got better, and then he finally got that one, and then it was just a wrap, and he just skyrocketed and just left everybody else behind. That would be Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne is the number one top sidekick, because Juvenile came out, Juvenile was the guy, and everybody was like, oh, Juvie great. BG came out, oh, BG's the guy. Everybody was in love with BG. He just came home. Everybody was in love with BG. Some people was even liking Turk more than Wayne. I know that for a fact. When it came to Wayne, it was kind of like, yeah, he cool. He good.
Yeah.
But at every album, every feature he got on, just got better, better, better. 500 Degrees came out and was like, all right, we might be on to something. And then he dropped the Carter and it was a wrap.
The Carter was the turning point. So
yeah, that was the turning point for him.
That one got me. That one got me, because like I was thinking about it, because like now that you mention it, with Cash Money, you know, Wayne, he was one of the hot boys.
Right.
You know, he was good for a hook.
Yep.
You know, he did some hooks for Juvie, he did some hooks for BG, but he never really stood out.
Right.
You know, Block is Hot was a dope album. Lights Out was an even better album.
Yep. Shine.
You know, Shine, man, look, that Lights Out album. So I remember, and you know, my cousin Daryl. We used to be at this man's house, in the projects, playing Dreamcast, playing Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast with Lil Wayne Lights Out on repeat, because we just played that CD until it couldn't play anymore. Like the laser burned through that sucker. Like, but the Carter, like when the Carter came out, it was like, nah, man, this dude is here to stay.
Exactly. Because I'm like, okay, I like his stuff. I like 500 Degrees. I'm like, all right, let me give the Carter. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, yo.
Everything about like.
Pretty much every track on that CD was golden to me. And I'm like, man, like, is this it? Is this where we going with Cash Money? And I think right after that, either BG was in jail or he was going to jail. And Juvie wasn't really popping like that. He still had some songs and stuff, but then it was kind of like, all right, you next up. And they gave him the ball and he just ran with it. And has not given it up since.
And I think Turk was already in jail at this time. So it was like, and then also, I mean, the production changed. Because you didn't just, I mean, shout out to Manny Fresh, but like the Carter, you really had a plethora of beats. Like you had you had some other different producers, you had some different sounds. Like Wayne started going in on more samples with the Carter. Like he wasn't really rapping on samples like that in earlier tracks. Man, that's a good one. That's a good heater. So I'm gonna keep it in the South.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it in the South. I'm not gonna place him above Lil Wayne. I'm gonna place him at number 2 because there ain't no one else. So this guy, kind of going back to my discussion about hype men. So this MC, like he started off in a duo, but the duo was signed to a larger collective, a larger label that I mean, much props to the superstar, but I don't think I don't think he gave enough love to his label. And I'm gonna talk about, and he's still one of my favorite MCs of all time, Ludacris. So DTP, so Luda he's not on the list. Okay. He's the superstar, right? So you know, Ludacris had DTP, and he just did not give DTP love, in my opinion. I don't think he gave some love, and he did have some good MCs on there. There was a Facebook post, my homeboy tagged me in, and he was like, out of these 4 crews, like who was the best one? And it was like DTP, St. Lunatics, G Unit, and Flip Mode. Okay. And out of the 4, I think my answer was G Unit, because I was like, well, all of them can actually rap. Yeah. Like, for all of the other crews, you had like a key person, like, because it was like, hey, if you took out the main MC, so like G Unit without 50, you know, Flip Mode without Busta Rhymes, DTP without Luda, and then the St. Lunatics without Nelly. Like, which crew stands the hardest? And I was like, G Unit, because like all of them can actually rap. I was like, all 3 other groups, in my opinion, have 2 people that can actually rap, and a bunch of niggas just breathing. Like, that's my opinion. So DTP, I was like, who in DTP can actually rap? Shauna, and then my selection, 2 Chainz.
Oh, that's right.
So and here's what made me think about 2 Chainz. If you look at Ludacris's Chappelle show performance, I think he performed stand up. Who is the hype man? It's 2 Chainz. Back when he was Titty Boy, and after he left DTP, and that was like, he took the fuck off. Dare I say it? Like, because I mean, he's always had some dope club tracks, but what really did it for me was his album Rap or Go to the League. Rap or Go to the League, you actually like hear him as an MC, and I would put I would put Rap or Go to the League in my top 20 list of albums to come out of Atlanta. Like, it was that good for me. Like, it was that good. And then I kind of went on a 2 Chainz tear for a minute after I heard this. I'm like, well, let me catch up on some of the other stuff, because I kind of put him off to the side. Like, that's party music, shit for the strippers. And like, I started running back some of the older stuff. Started running back some of the old Play a Circle stuff. And I was like, yeah, man, this is the guy. So I'm putting him on my list. Number two.
Okay. All right. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you, and it makes total sense. He definitely, from DTP, is Ludacris, and then it would be him. It would be Titty Boy, for sure. And I'm thinking about it like I'm not a huge Titty Boy fan, but he rolled the fuck out of the Mercy beat. He probably had the best verse on the beat.
Absolutely.
He had the best verse on the beat, and you had, like, you know, your Big Sean, you had Push on there, you had Kanye, and he went on last, and he has the most memorable verse, hands down.
He knew the assignment.
Yeah, he knew the assignment. He knew the assignment, and he fulfilled it. 1,000%.
He knew. So I gotta put him on my list. He's definitely his own superhero now.
Right, for sure. Oh yeah, he's definitely his own guy. So, going to, you mentioned the group earlier, so this is where my third guy going to be at. It's going to be Murphy Lee. I think Murphy Lee is definitely in this top 5. We haven't heard a lot from Murphy Lee lately, but I mean, I think he has his own core kind of people, his group. followers and stuff. That's probably why, and he's not like industry like that anymore, I don't believe. But I'll put him number 3. He definitely, Nelly sold more than him.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was a better rapper than Nelly. That's me. I feel like he was a better rapper than Nelly.
I want to give a shout out to Murphy Lee. So back to that, like my answer for the 2 people in the same instance who could actually,
he was one of them,
were Ali and Murphy Lee.
Yeah, Ali and Murphy. Yep. Yes, Ali and Murphy Lee were the 2 good rappers on St. Luke's. Everybody else was after that, but Nelly was the star. And then after that, they even gave him an album. The album wasn't that bad. Every feature that he was on, he killed just about. And it was kind of a shame that after that that was it. It was no more really like Nelly and the St. Lunatics. It was just more like Nelly went on and did his own thing. They broke up, and he kind of got just like left in the dust. It's kind of like, dang, like what could have been if he had the machine behind him to kind of keep going, because it seemed like he had everything. He had the charisma, he had the flow. Everybody liked him for the most part, but just kind of didn't transition into what could have been for him.
Hell yeah. So like, and I want to give you another shout out to not just Murphy Lee, the city of St. Louis. My wife seen him not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah, like just out and about. My wife and my sister-in-law. So my wife, Mrs. Smithsonian, like she's from St. Louis, and apparently like this nigga just be around. he just be around at like functions and stuff. So like, my wife and my sister-in-law got like a picture from Murphy Lee like from a couple years ago, and like my sister-in-law, like she'll see him at like the black, entrepreneur functions and the pop-ups and stuff like that. So he does still have like a presence
in the city.
in St. Louis. And I remember when I was DJing, like I would find little snippets and like tracks every now and then. They would start trying to shop them through the digital record pools and stuff. Murphy Lee's always had bars. Always had bars. So I got definitely props for that. Now mine, I'm gonna circumvent a lot of the list. Okay. So I'm gonna put this man at number 2.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put him at 2, change 2 Chainz to 3, and Murphy Lee to 4.
Okay.
And here's my spicy take. Here's my spicy take. And it's got to do with my shirt. So my shirt, this is the shirt I got from my wife.
I already know where you're going. Okay.
Keep your heart 3 stacks. Keep your heart. So this man started off as a member of the Dungeon family. He was a part of the crew. The first time we heard him on the mainstream, like he had a breakout verse on an Outkast track. And how does this man, this man shows up and boxes with gods out the gate. Out the gate and gets a fucking Grammy. You know what I'm saying? And since then he has done nothing but evolve. Like at first, like when we listen to some of his features on some of the primary like tracks out of Atlanta, with other Atlanta other Atlanta MCs, like he shines. Then I'm talking about Killer Mike, for anybody who don't know who the fuck we talking about. Michael fucking Render. Then he does this thing. He gets with LP of all people, and Run the Jewels is fucking crazy. And then like so he just dropped Michael not too long ago. And shame on BET, first off. So here's my spicy take. Here's my spicy take. So first off, shame on BET, because Michael did not get nominated for Best Hip Hop Album.
See, I don't even mess with BET, to be honest with you, like that. So I'm not surprised, but
I ain't fucked with BET in a long time, and that's just I still got scars from when they were like super reality show, like we're getting rid of all the hip hop, we're getting rid of all the original content. So we're doing like super stereotypical shit. Like BET was in a very dark place in like the mid 2000s.
Right.
And I just kind of distanced myself. But I thought they were getting it back together, right? So Michael is my album of the year.
Same.
Like that shit was so good. It was so personal. The beats, the lyrics, the features, like it is one of the most complete albums that I have heard out of hip hop. It is top 5 albums to come out of Atlanta for me. So shame on BET. And at first I was like, well, maybe Michael came out too late in the nomination, and it wasn't eligible. And then I go through the list. 3 Stacks, he got nominated for Best Verse of the Year for his verse on Scientists and Engineers. And my spicy take because like we talk about the student outshining the master. Killer Mike had a harder verse than 3000. he had a harder verse than 3 Stacks on Scientists and Engineers. I will stand on that. I will stand on that shit until somebody can convince me different. Like I love 3 Stacks. 3 Stacks is my favorite MC of all time. I don't think that the fact that he doesn't have a solo album outside of The Love Below, like I don't think that should discount him off of like any top 5 or top 10 list, because we were talking earlier about how commercial success is weighed too heavily in the game right now. Like I mean, and I think although Andre 3000 had a great verse, like he was nominated because of scarcity. Like because he gives us an amazing verse like every year and a half.
Yeah. He always
just as a random feature. Before this it was Donda. Dear, yeah.
The life of the party, yeah.
So I get it, but Killer Mike had the better verse. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna leave that there.
We're gonna maybe have to go back and listen to this album and listen to that song.
I played it back. I played it back like an hour ago. I'm like, man, am I really gonna say this shit? Like, am I really gonna put this out here? Am I gonna say this shit on Will Smith's internet? Shout out to Will Smith. Sending positive energy to Will Smith right now.
Absolutely. He needs it.
Man,
he needs it.
Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though.
Alright. So we got Wayne 1, Killer Mike 2, 2 Chainz 3, Murph Lee 4. Alright. Like I'm having to look at my list right here. Alright, we're gonna take it back to the East Coast.
Okay.
It's right when our boy Cameron came out, so we already kind of know where this is going. I'm gonna have to give it to Juelz for the top 5.
What? Okay. Where you gonna put him?
I'm gonna put him 4. But you know what? I'm gonna give Murph Lee Heroes a stack. I'm gonna put him 5. I'm gonna put him right at the end.
You gonna give Juelz Santana 5?
I'm gonna give Juelz Santana 5. I'm gonna leave Murph where he at. So Juelz literally was my guy. Like it was during that time. It was only 2 people. I don't care. I was standing for Freeway when he got roasted by Cassidy. I was like, whatever. He did need to beat. It's fine. Whatever. He still had the better album though. I was still standing for Freeway. Freeway and Juelz was my guys. They definitely didn't change my life, but it definitely broadened my horizons for sure with Juelz. Like Juelz, Cameron was already the established artist, and he came. Was it Come Home With Me? That's the one. That was the first album off Rockefeller. And Juelz, was it New York that he was on? I'm trying to remember. It might not have been New York, but it might have been the second track off that album. And I'm like, who was this? And then right after that, they started dropping Dipset, and they started giving them the hooks. They started giving them the singles, and it was like, when is this album dropping? From Me to You, it's not a classic, but to me, it was fantastic. From front to back, From Me to You was fantastic. And then right after that,
breath of fresh air for New York hip hop.
Exactly. And it was kind of like he was the next man up. He dropped that. Then he came out, What's the Game's Been Missing? And that album was really good. Little Boy Fresh is still one of my favorite albums. Favorite songs.
Little Boy Fresh. Nice. Like we might have to do like a storytelling episode, because that is top 5 like storytelling songs.
Little Boy Fresh is my shit. And then after that, we were supposed to get the Wayne and Juelz collabo album.
I'm sore about not getting I Can't Feel My Face.
I can't feel my face. Like, I've been waiting for I Can't Feel My Face for almost a decade now, and we still ain't got it. And then he went to jail, or I don't know what happened with the album, but then right after that, he kind of was quiet, and then he went to jail, and that was it. Now he's out, but I mean, it's kind of like what Lloyd Banks said. Nobody really checking for Lloyd Banks now, which isn't true, but kind of is in a sense. So like, we don't really know what's going on. But for a while, it was kind of like he had that. He was the sidekick.
He had it. He had it, and I mean everything about it. Like, just I remember like Hey Ma dropping.
Yep.
You know, and he's like, I made T to live a crazy life. Plus, I should. It's like, as a young dude, if you've ever been a young dude that tried to pick up like a grown woman, like, you know damn well she's out of your league. Like, you said some shit like that too. Like, you said,
absolutely.
You know,
like, he was in the what's it, Black Planet? He was in the DMs talking about, hey man, what's good? Like, you know, you're not from New York, just talking. I'm like, what? Just using the lingo. Using the lingo.
So this is. I ain't gonna change the order. This is too solid. But I feel like we got to talk about honorable mentions, because like now. So I had in my pocket, I had another Dipset artist.
I think I know where you're going.
So I had J.R. Ryder.
You know what? Now I'm wrong. I'm absolutely wrong. Because honestly, I thought you was going to say Jim Jones.
So, man,
because that's been the hot take for the longest, that he's definitely come up and has definitely been. He's improved.
Jim Jones has definitely evolved, and I mean, some of the stuff that he's been putting out recently has been crazy. What was that? That State of the Union with Rick Ross. Amazing. So shout out to him. Just that one song. But I mean, Jim Jones, what's the name? He's got like, he did like a group mixtape with Mano, and it was like some other niggas. It was a solid project. But I had J.R. Ryder. I had J.R. Ryder on my list, because like I felt like he took the elements of that Dipset flow, you know what I'm saying? That doom 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 boom 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 boom. Like, he just took that and ran with it. And I was listening to Shake. Speaking of Cameron's album, I think this was on Come Home With Me, or Purple Haze. Was it on Come Home With Me?
I think it was on Come Home With Me. I don't think it was on Purple Haze.
So Shake. Like, Shake was a cool song, but like the beat, in my opinion, was trash. I didn't like the beat. I like the mixtape version that had the sample with the "I'll See You in My Dreams." That's all I remember it as, because like the hook, they had the bridge of the song playing, It was like, I'll see you in my dreams, da 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 da, and like they just used the verses from Shake on that, and I was like, man, this is like, but like J.R. Writer, I really thought like after Juelz got his shine and he was doing everything that needed to do, like he was the next one, and I'm like, this is gonna be great. Like Dipset is churning out these dope MCs.
Right.
And then, you know, he kind of disappears. He, you know, and I was looking him up trying to figure out like where the fuck is he at, because I started listening to J.R. Writer again, and like I'm gonna start probably going through the Writer's Block mixtapes, but I mean, I don't think he's put out anything in like a decade, so we gotta figure it out. So he was one of the ones that I had in the pocket. Did you give me some honorable mentions? Because there's one that I thought that you were gonna say that you didn't, and I'm gonna tell you that one after you give me an honorable mention.
So this guy, I thought about him a lot because he was one of the CDs that I bought when I was younger. That would be Drag On, Rough Riders. So that album was really good. Like I really enjoyed Opposite H2O. Obviously, what was the song? Down Bottom. As soon as you hear the little trumpets, as soon as you hear the trumpets and you hear Swiss beats, yeah, and that's it. You already know what's happening after that. He come on spitting flames, Drag On. So I'm like, again, like he's one of those guys where it's like, all right, cool album, came out. DMX is the guy, like he's the star, but Drag On's here and he's kind of doing his thing, but then after that it's kind of like crickets, more or less. But I mean, I know he's still out here doing his thing and he out here doing good, but it's like, man, like what could have been with him as well? Like another one, and he was ride or die for Rough Riders all the way through. So definitely Drag On was definitely a honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, I also had so you said nobody's checking for Lloyd Banks. I had Lloyd Banks.
Lloyd Banks said that nobody's checking for Lloyd Banks. Man, that's my guy.
I'm checking for Lloyd Banks. Like I'm checking for Lloyd Banks. Like Lloyd Banks, please don't stop making music. Like it's niggas like us that are damn near 40 and actually like buying the stuff and listening to it, like, because
looking for him.
I seen that earlier. They were talking about how like a lot of these tours that the younger artists are doing, like they're not selling. Really? They're not making any money. But all of the tours with like the older MCs are sold out.
The money.
Because, well, one, like all the people that actually have disposable income are us, and then two, like, I think the game has just changed. Like now, like I'm not paying $50 to go see somebody whose songs are on TikTok. Like you ain't got no albums. You just got singles. Like I'm not paying for that.
Right.
Like it's great. Yeah, it's absolutely great at a music festival where you've got like a 15-minute set and like everybody can repeat your stuff, but I'm not going to see it. And then the kids have no value. They don't find value in actually going to a regular concert. Like they got value in the festivals.
Yeah, that's where the money is.
So I'm gonna give you one. Here's what I thought. Here's one I thought you.
Before we get off of Lloyd Banks, All or Nothing, Volume 1. Please, if you haven't heard it, go listen to it. But continue.
All right. I'm writing that one down. So here's one I thought you were gonna say this man because he is technically he started off as a sidekick.
I think I know where you're going, and I was going to mention him, but I kind of had to give my shine to Murphy and Juelz. But continue.
Jay-Z.
That's right. He wasn't. That's not who I was thinking. I was thinking Freeway because he definitely was a sidekick.
Oh yeah, Freeway
was a sidekick, but Jay-Z definitely was a sidekick because he was a Jazzo and he was wearing the Hawaiian shirts, and that was where he kind of got his
I
start
thought you were gonna say that because I mean, like, we had like a rolling joke for like 2 years off of Hawaiian Sophie, man.
Sure. Yep.
Like we gotta bring back Hawaiian shirt JC.
Shirts.
Man, like so I thought you were gonna pull that one out.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so again, he definitely was a sidekick because he was with Jazzo, then he was with Biggie, and he was the side guy, but he still had the flow, and it was kind of like he similar to Wayne. He wasn't really doing the hooks, but he was the side guy for a little bit, and then all it took was just the one album, and then after that,
just skyrocketed. And I mean, you know, like a lot of people don't know, depending on how old they are, because I doubt like your average Jay-Z fan under 30 knows about the origins, and they're probably gonna like Google Hawaiian Sophie now and be like, oh my god, because like it was not just so it was Jazzo, Biggie, but he remember Big L.
Big L too,
he was coming behind Big L for a minute. You know, they had the 7-minute freestyles and all of that stuff. Somebody else, oh man, this is a spicy take. Technically started off as a sidekick. Pac.
That's right.
Digital Underground.
Digital Underground. That's right. And even with Snoop Dogg a little bit, but not really. But definitely with Digital Underground, he was just a part of the group. He was just.
Yeah, he was just there.
He was just there.
He was just there. Like he had a couple bars, but he was just there. He was dancing and shit.
Yeah, he wasn't.
he was dancing and shit. Look, I remember Nothing But Trouble is still one of my favorite movies of all time. Where you know they were it was like Chevy Chase, and then they were stuck in the house with all them crazy folks, and like Digital Underground came through, and like Digital Underground had to like play for their life because they got lost, and then they broke all their equipment out and started jamming, and this shit's still funny. But yeah, like Pac definitely started off as a sidekick.
Yeah, with Digital Underground. That's true. That's absolutely true. And then you already mentioned them, Jay-Z, so we're gonna go. Memphis Bleek is another guy. Hearing him on Reasonable Doubt, Coming of Age, and I'm like, who is this? I'm like, let's go. Who is this? And just he'll have the bars, but even he mentioned it like when Beans came on the scene, he was like, who is this dude Beans, man? He up there rapping on, he ain't better than me. And
yeah, he is.
it was like, you know what, you right, let me learn from you because you out here spitting. So he was another one, was kind of like, man, like what could have been with Bleek? Like he had his hits. Probably I enjoyed the Made album. I think that was the last one I really was like checking for Bleek, because I think he had like Round Here, 995, you know, something else that he had on there that I liked. But that was like the last time that I was really checking for Bleek. But he was definitely like the sidekick, ride or die, no matter what. I got Rockefeller. Like I think even in the Drink Champs, he's still rocking the Rockefeller chain. So I'm like,
oh yeah.
He's definitely the personification of like a sidekick for sure, no matter what.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Because like I'm thinking, like and you know some of the folks that didn't make the list, some of like are I ain't really got too many other ones. There were some other folks that I was thinking about, because like I think The Game is a self-proclaimed sidekick. Like I don't think The Game was ever a sidekick, but he markets himself as a sidekick.
As one. Yeah.
Like he markets himself as like Dr. Dre's Robin.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think he was ever that.
Not really. Yeah, he wasn't that. Yeah, no. I wouldn't even think he would be, even with 50, like he was kind of like, yeah, I'm 50's guy, and it's like, not really. That would be more like Tony Yayo, or even when him and Young Buck was beefing. Yeah, like that was more of a Robin to 50 Cent's Batman. It wasn't The Game.
Yeah, because the game came kind of on the tail end. Like G Unit was already established.
Established, right?
You know, Tony Yayo was definitely robbed.
Really?
But I couldn't put him on the list because I mean, I appreciate Tony Yayo. He's got a lot of enthusiasm, but I just don't think he had the bars.
Right.
Like for the argument. He did have some great songs. He did, but I can't.
Yeah, exactly. So let me ask you this. So I did have one, and I wasn't really sure if they could be considered a sidekick or not, because I felt that they were on even par with this person. Phife Dawg.
Yeah.
Like I was going back and forth. I'm like, I don't think I could put him as that.
Yeah.
I feel like he was on par with Q-Tip.
Always, yeah. I couldn't. I stayed away from like established groups where like everybody was on the same level. You know what I'm saying?
Same thing like him, Styles P and Sheek Luke, which I was like, all right, like who, like could I say one of them was the Robin? I'm like, nah,
not really.
I really can't. So I had to leave them off the list because they was just as good, or if not, I ain't gonna say just as good as Jada, because I put it like that. They're all even in my.
Yeah, and
I'm more of a
like at that
point.
That
I'm more of a Styles guy, so like I kind of give him the nudge a little bit more over Jada.
Man.
But I mean, yeah, I can't just do that.
So I kind of transitioned to a Styles guy. Because like I've always kind of held like Jadakiss and Styles P and Sheek like all kind of at the same
level, yeah.
And then at first, you know, like I was listening to a lot more Jadakiss, gave him a lot more props, but you know, as I started listening to Styles P more, because I've always listened to Styles P, but like when I actually started playing his shit back as an adult, like. Some of that shit, like, I just didn't get. I didn't understand 15 years ago.
Right. No, truth be told, I was riding for Gangsta and the Gentleman when it came out. I'm like, this shit better than Jadakiss' first album. People didn't want to hear me, though, but that's whatever. It's fine. But, but, I'm always going to ride with Styles. But,
I was probably one of the people. That sounds like a lunch table conversation.
But so I'm like, yeah, no, like Styles is legit. So I didn't feel right kind of saying that he was a sidekick because I think they were both even for sure. I'm trying to think, was there anybody else I could think of? I already mentioned Freeway, like he's definitely a sidekick. Even we can even probably say Beanie was kind of a sidekick. He was when he came on the scene. Obviously, Memphis was right there with Jay, but when Beans came on, it was kind of like that was the 1-2 punch for a good while.
Man,
and then Beans broke off as this state property, and it's kind of like, no, I'm the man. And obviously, it didn't work out that way. But like for a good while, it was a 1-2 punch with Jay and Beans, so he could be top 5 sidekick. But I just felt like he kind of got rid of that sidekick role kind of quick, so I was kind of like, yeah, no, I can't. And plus, he ran his own label, but Lil Wayne did too. But I'm like, nah. But Beans kind of definitely deserves an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and Lil Wayne, he played the sidekick. Like we're talking damn near, talking about like what, 7 years?
Just about
7 years.
I think they came out around like what 90, 97, 98.
Yeah, maybe even early 96.
Yeah, 96, something like that. Yeah, like he was playing that role for a good while. And
yeah, he was in there. You know, and I was thinking about speaking of like that Young Money, Cash Money umbrella. Like I was like, you know, do I consider Drake? Do I consider Nicki Minaj? And like I thought about it, but like I didn't want to go there.
Yeah, I mean technically Drake did well for a hot minute. He definitely did play that role, that little Robin role for a little bit, and then he was just like the hottest thing going. And it was him and Wayne for a good while, and you kind of could tell like Drake just kind of
and
branched off.
I kind of stepped back from it because I mean, you know, Drake also had a name before he was a rapper.
Right.
So you know, he had that, and I mean, like I thought about Nicki, but I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right because like we're also like when I think about like the era that I was like a real Wayne fan, like checking for everything that this man did. Like it was before Young Money.
Yeah.
It was before Young Money, and I just I think it would have been a little bit different like earlier on. But you know, kind of Wayne wasn't really putting out the music that I wanted him to put out, like as a fan. And I don't know if he was like holding it in to let people shine, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Like, and I think it's just a touchy subject because when we think about like Wayne on the list of God tier MCs, there are a lot of people who don't want to put him on that list because they forgot or like they weren't around
right
for that era of Wayne. Kind of similar to Eminem. Like post 2010 Eminem is man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It was one person I wanted to put on here, but I think he came out a little, for at least from my cutoff, he came out a little bit too late. But he was a sidekick for maybe a hot year, maybe a year and a half. That'd be Freddie Gibbs.
Man, nigga. I was thinking about Gibbs. I was thinking about Gibbs for that little small time he was under Jeezy.
Small bit. He was with CTE. He's with Jeezy. He was definitely, Jeezy was like, this is my guy right here. This is the next out. And that's my favorite rapper currently at the moment. So Codeine Hell was my shit, front to back. I can play that front to back no matter what. But when I first heard Gibbs and he's with Jeezy, I'm like, oh yeah, Jeezy. So shout out to our boy Darren. Obviously the biggest Jeezy fan that I know. RIP. I was like, man, this Gibbs guy like is legit. And he's like, no, I ain't talking about, I ain't worried about no Gibbs. I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, are you listening to this man? Like, are you listening to what he's spitting? And he's like, no, I ain't worried about Gibbs. I'm like, all right, okay. So, Freddie would definitely, if he had came out a little bit earlier, I probably would have put him above Juelz or Murph. But it was just my cutoff was just I can't.
Yeah,
do it, so.
Yeah. He didn't play that role for long enough. I mean, that I am definitely a Freddie Gibbs fan. Like,
yeah,
this man, Soul separately could have been better. That's about it.
It definitely could have been. I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed. I was definitely disappointed. Like, I've listened to it front to back, and it's grown on me, but it's still like, man, I was waiting for this. Like, I was waiting for this.
It needed to happen, though. It needed to happen. Because, I mean, he'd been on a tear. Like, Freddie was amazing. You know, the projects with Mad Lib, amazing. Alfredo with Alchemist was amazing. So like he was just like all swish, no miss.
Yeah.
And
I think this was one where he kind of was more in charge of production, more so than like, oh, Mad Lib take care of the production, Alchemist take care of the production. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I'm doing the thing. Like, he was in charge of this album. So compared to the other one that he did, this one was probably a little bit better, like where it was like him just in charge of everything. This one's a little bit better, but it wasn't up to my expectations. So still a good album, but it just wasn't. I'm thinking album of the year. It just wasn't the case. But the commercials that they filmed was hilarious, so I give them that.
Man, this shit was hilarious. This shit was fucking hilarious. I didn't know that this man was that funny.
Yeah.
Until what was it? So he was on a couple episodes of Lawyer Squad, but they had a show. It's a show. It was on Peacock and NBC about these cats that work in this like low budget like casino, and he was the manager of the casino. And every time this man got in front of the camera, like he just said the funniest shit on the planet. And I'm like, man, this dude is fucking hilarious.
Yes, he's very funny. His Twitter is a sight to behold. It's pretty funny. I don't know if it's still a running joke where they'll just post pictures of like a bald head dude and saying, "Oh, this is Freddie Gibbs," and he up there like, "Fuck y'all." Like he gets along with the joke, like it's just funny. So, but which I definitely put him in there, but just the cutoff was like that. I can't put him in there.
So yeah, man, look, it's still a dope list, man. So before we close out, I'm gonna give it again. So our top 5 sidekicks: number 5, Santana; number 4, Murphy Lee; 3, 2 Chainz; 2, Killer Mike; and then the number 1, Cash Money, Young Money, Lil Wayne. Man, this was another dope episode, another hour in the books. Shout out to everybody that's been listening to us and been watching us on YouTube. Like, we've been averaging, I don't know, it's still amazing to me that like fucking 1,500 people like tune into this damn thing whenever we drop an episode. Like, I don't know, and it might not be a lot for all the other podcasters and stuff out there, but fuck y'all. Like, I feel good about it, you know. I feel good about it. Like, so, you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. Like, we're not about to, you know, be recording no episodes at like the Essence Fest or anything like that. But
right,
we're gonna wrap up this season in a couple episodes, and then we're gonna kind of look through everything and figure out what's going on, and, you know, see what we're gonna do for season 3. So this is dope. But yeah, Bosko, thanks again. Appreciate you for coming through. And we got a couple more episodes, so we about to stop recording so me and this man can chop it up about that shit. And yeah, we'll holler at y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.